Jagrative. There are many stages on your growth and on everyone's growth. There are things you can do to try and skip stages, but in the end you really can't. I've met people who are very, very advanced, very, very high, that made a royal mess out of their lives and everyone around them. Does that mean they weren't high? They weren't evolved? It means they didn't work through their stuff. They jumped. So what does that mean? The first and foremost important thing of your real growth, your permanent growth, is that you have to have seen, not been taught, but you have to have seen that the old way doesn't work. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with doing your best to try to get what you want and avoid what you don't want. You will just eventually realize it literally does not work. It's a temporary thing to get what you want. It's a temporary thing to avoid what you don't want. There's nobody who ever got what they wanted and didn't want more. Nobody, ever, anywhere. Okay? Doesn't matter whether it's in love, doesn't matter if it's in money, doesn't matter if it's in war, doesn't matter. The minute you get what you think you want, a funny thing happens. You don't need it as much anymore. Why? Because you just got it. And so, by definition, it no longer becomes a number one in your hit parade. All of a sudden, number two shows up and becomes number one. Has anybody noticed? You always want something. Period. It will seem at the moment that this is it, man. This is all I need. If she loved me, or if he loved me, and if I got this money and I won this and I traveled somewhere and all that, that would be it. I'd be fine, right? Well, if God forbid you get it, you'll find out you're not fine. You'll find out, well, we got married, but what about children? You don't have children? I thought you wanted to have children. Oh my God, what happened? I thought if I could just be with you. No, it didn't work, did it? It never works. No one ever has enough money. No one ever takes enough vacations. No one ever completely finds the job they want and keeps it that way. No one ever, ever, ever finds a relationship that is just as sweet and as fine that the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7,000th kiss is the same as the first. I'm sorry. You tell me all you want. Be as romantic as you want. Write all the poems you want. It ain't happening. Okay? There is a law of diminishing returns. Always, under all conditions. If you want it and you didn't have it, it really turns you on to get it. If you want it and you didn't have it and you get it, it's wonderful. Now get it the second time, the third time, the fourth time, the fifth time. It doesn't have the magic anymore. You want to know why? The reason you like it is because it distracts you from yourself. If something leaves you the way you were when you met it, you're not interested. If somehow it distracts you from the garbage you have going on inside of yourself, it blew my mind. It blew me away. Oh my God, I've never felt like this before. That's wonderful. Well, how did you feel before? Not so good. A little heavy, a little boring, a little scared, a little self-conscious, a little embarrassed, a little guilty, a little shy. How'd you feel? All right? This distracted me from it. Hawaii distracted me from it. I want to go back. Why do I want to go back? Because I fell back into the junk that I was before I went. This person blew me away. This job is so challenging. It's really just turning me on. I love my boss. I love this. What happens if the boss leaves? What happens if the coworker isn't the way you want them to be? Do you understand that? Somehow, and I know how, I discussed it very deeply in Living Untethered, right? Somehow the situation caught your attention, your energy, your shakti, your interest enough to draw the interest away from yourself. People actually say, they literally say it, I don't care where we live, as long as I'm with you. Let's see how long that lasts. You've been through it. I don't care how old you are. It is basically something you learn. You learn that because it's new, it has promise. It distracts you. Because it's something that your mind said it wanted, but it doesn't have, it gets turned on. It seems promising. I told you, the difference between a stalker and a suitor is you. If somebody's outside the house serenading you and watching everything you're doing and you like the guy or the gal, like, whoa, this is neat, I can't wait. If you don't like the person at all, oh my God, I'm calling the police. So you have made up in your mind what you want. So if something starts to happen that seems to encourage and go in the direction of and reinforce what you want, I'm telling you, you open. Why? It's what I want. So once you've decided what you want and something starts to happen like that, all of your energy and your consciousness gets fixated, gets involved and attracted to that. The moment it doesn't behave or be the way you thought you wanted it to be, you tell me what happens. You close. That's the end of it. Well, 2 days were good, third one was good. He slurped his soup. I'm serious. That's why it happens. You all run after it, so you don't notice what's happening. You are setting up in your mind what it is you think will make you be okay. And if it starts to happen, you get excited and you get turned on. It's not the person that turns you on. If you decided, I don't like a person like that, and you meet them, you don't like them. But what do you think you're doing on those websites when you fill out check boxes? You're saying, this is what right now I think I will like. Well, if all of a sudden the perfect match, of course he lied, but if a perfect match shows up, all right, a perfect match shows up, you get excited without even having met the person. So that's what's happening all the time. What happens when it doesn't exactly match what you thought you wanted it to be? It gets cooler in there. It gets turned down. Or you stay together for the kids. So this is what happens. And I'm telling you, your first real awakening is when you actually realize this. You realize it wasn't so much him or this or the job. It was me. If you had decided you wanted the job to be the way it ended up being, you'd be excited then. I don't like this boss. Oh my God, I hope we get a new one. Oh my God, I've got a new boss, exactly what I want. You turned on again, aren't you? You're doing this. That's your first awakening in spirituality. The world is not doing it. That which turns you on turns somebody else off. That which turned you on a year ago turns you off today and may turn you on again tomorrow. Right or wrong. You're doing this. That's what it means when you catch on that it's all inside. And you start to realize, I have work to do in here. Prior to that, the things that pass as spirituality, attracting to yourself what you want, praying that God will give you what you want, there's nothing wrong with those things. I'd rather have you do those things than get depressed and think, I'll never get what I want. I've never got what I want. So maybe if I do this new mantra or I attract things to myself, okay, good. I don't want you being depressed. I want you having hope, right? But that's not spirituality. Spirituality is when you wake up and realize it's not about getting what I want. It doesn't matter how I'm going about getting it. It is not about getting what I want. Why? Because if I get what I want something else. It's a very short-lived thing. Temporarily it works. Well, I told you why. Because it distracts you from yourself when it's new. It looks promising. Oh my God, this is going to be great. Until it isn't. Then what do? You try to find the next greatest thing. That's why there's so much problems with relationships. So there's so much problems with everything. People think that if I get what I want, I'll be okay. Why don't you ask somebody? Why don't you check out? I know you do too, because you read the papers. You now have been acquainted to a bunch of billionaires. How are they doing? Seem like their life is just perfect and everything's wonderful and have no problems at all and just wow, blissed out and enlightenment. No, I don't think so. I told you, I've known a bunch of billionaires. I was in business. And I'm telling you, if you are number one on the Forbes most wealthiest person in the world list last year, and you're number 2 this year, it bothers you. It does not matter how much money you have. It's just about getting what you want. And if you get what you want, it turns you on some. But then you want something else. So the combination of this temporal nature of things, it's not just the Buddhists who say it's temporal. It is temporal. And you have to start running after things all the time. And the next thing you know, you're in trouble. All right? So that's your first awakening. Doesn't mean you renounce things. I want to talk deep to you. It's not about renunciation. It's about realizing it doesn't work. If you're eating something that's making you sick, but everybody says this is the finest food you can eat, you don't have to renounce the food because it costs too much. It doesn't work for you. That is really the foundation of true spirituality. You have realized for yourself that getting what you want is way oversold. It's oversold. It doesn't do it. It doesn't change you enough. In fact, it doesn't change you at all. All it does is make you change what it is that you think you want. But you're still going after the game of I have to get what I want. Do you see that? That's not a paradigm shift. to decide, oh, okay, I've been single, I want to try getting married. And that's not a paradigm shift. But now I decided marriage didn't work, I want to live alone. It's not a paradigm shift. It's still saying, what do I think will make it work for me? And I'm going to go after that. I don't care what it is you picked. It doesn't make any difference to me. The foundation is exactly the same. I'm not okay. What will make me be okay? How do I get it? So that is how the whole world works. All they do is pick different things at different times. Let's be honest. People used to say to me, I'm a hippie, right? Grew up in the 60s, right? Why is there so much war? The minute I saw what was going on, I never asked that question. I said, why isn't there more war? Every single person wants something different. Do you understand that? So if everybody wants something different, what kind of a world is it going to be living in? Very, very tense. A lot of anxiety, a lot of struggle. Okay? But you think you're right. I've given that lecture before. I'm not going to get into it. I want to go deeper today. So basically, the starting problem is that people think that getting what they want is going to solve every problem they have in their life. Whereas the truth of the matter is, I told you, if you get what you want, you're worried about losing it. If you don't get what you want, you're jealous of other people, you feel depressed, you feel left out, it's not fair. If you get what you don't want, give me a break. Why does it have to happen to me? It's terrible. So by the time you're done, you're not okay. The only way to be okay, truly, is spirituality, which says what? It's not about getting what you want. Oh, then what's it about? Do I have to renounce what I want? Of course not. Of course, renunciation's bunko. There's no reason in the world to practice renunciation. All right? If you really, really want something, and that's what you think your life is about, go for it. It's crazy. We're going to suppress it. Not going to do anything. I want you to become wise enough within yourself that you realize, I don't really think this is going to solve all my problems. I've been on a block a few times. Been divorced 5 times. I haven't. Been divorced 5 times. I've seen it. It's not a matter of finding number 6. Okay? Now I know what to check off the list. I erase those check boxes. No. You have to wake up and realize it is not about getting what you want. Then what's it about? It's about finding out why you have wants. Not renouncing them. Undercutting and saying, why do I feel a need for a relationship? And I'm not trying to have a relationship. I told you, don't do that. All right? But you can ask the question, why do I have a need for a significant other? Why do I have a need to show off and have a fancy car? Why do I have a need to win friends and influence people? Why do I have a need to have all these followers on Facebook? Why do I have needs? Whoa, there's a paradigm shift. Instead of how do I satisfy my needs, or which need should I be trying to satisfy, because I have so many I can't figure it out. I have to go to a life coach or something to help me figure out what I should be trying for, all right? What if I ask a deeper question? Why do we even have needs? And that's spirituality. That is the foundation of when you're on the spiritual path. It's a very different question, isn't it? Why do I have this need? Is there something wrong with me that I have needs? Is it true that I'm not whole and complete within myself, and that I'm not able to feel love and joy and complete self-fulfillment and everything as a natural state within me? That's like someone saying, I'm sick all the time, so I have to go to doctors. What doctor should I go to? No, why are you sick all the time? It's the exact same thing inside, but we don't ask that question inside. You do ask the question outside. Why do I need so many doctors? What's wrong with me? I better find someone who can heal me so I don't have all these illnesses. But you don't do that with your psychological state. You sit there and say it is natural to have needs. It is natural to feel lonely. It is natural to feel rejected. It is natural to feel left out. It is natural to feel jealous. It is natural to feel these things. Now, what do I need to do so that I'm not having all these problems? Instead of, it is not natural. It is not natural. It is not natural to have needs. Now you're talking deep spirituality. It's just the truth. Why do I have needs? Don't just accept as default that I have all these needs and I have to figure out which ones to follow and how to follow them and what to do. Why do I have needs? Okay, so now we went very quick to sit there and say, you're not playing the game of it's all about fulfilling my needs. And I told you, even if you're trying to fulfill them using spiritual methodologies, such as attracting to yourself what you want or presenting the finest person so other people like you, there's all kinds of spirituality, right? Okay, we're talking about real spirituality. Mayor Baba called that pseudo-spirituality. Just using spiritual mantras and techniques and things, your clarity, your high, in order to win friends and influence people and get things the way you want so you can be okay, because you're not okay, because you have to keep them that way. If you had to do anything to get it for you to okay, you're not okay. You're conditionally okay. It took this condition to happen for me to be okay. You're not okay. Why? What happens if it doesn't happen? What happens if it doesn't stay? What happens if you don't want it anymore? Oh my God, I got married. This is your honeymoon morning. Oh my God. Who's that? Oh my God. How did I do this? So we found the foundation. Spirituality, true spirituality, is when you wake up enough to realize, yes, I'm not denying that there are energies pulling me out, called needs. I'm not denying that I don't feel whole and complete within myself, but I now have a choice. Go out and try to find the conditions that will make me feel better, or find out why I don't feel whole and complete within myself. That's the difference between going outside or going inside. Like people use the word worldly life to think of a worldly person. I don't. To me, a worldly life is one where you decided the answer is outside. A spiritual life is one where you decided the answer is inside. Fair enough? Worldly life is not a dirty word. There's nothing wrong with the world. So basically, you realize that the paradigm shift is you ask the question, why am I not okay? You don't deny that you don't feel okay. You don't deny that you still have needs. You don't deny that you're being thrown around by the outside world because it either satisfies your needs or challenges them and so on. There. But you get this thing called your center. It starts with maintaining a center, or at least achieving a center in which you see it's a mess in here. It's a mess in here. Needs are a mess. Here, if you have to go to the bathroom really bad and you relieve yourself, you feel really good. That's what needs are. Right? You manage to get temporarily what you want, it's going to build right back up. If you're lonely and you need someone for you to feel needed and they don't treat you the way you want to be treated, you feel lonely again, even in the midst of your whole family. Right or wrong? Can people feel lonely in the midst of the husband and kids and I just don't feel what I used to feel. I'm just lonely, right? Okay. So you just wake up and you realize, why am I not okay? That question is the essence of your step on the spiritual path. Again, don't get into this premature transcendence or ignoring where you're at, okay? You accept, you notice, okay, it's a mess in here. There's a lot of needs, a lot of fears, a lot of anxieties. So what can I do to actually make it nicer in here, not to temporarily, not what is the drug I can take, so the temporary, and the drug includes all the outside world, the drug that I can take so that I feel better. No, that doesn't work. So you start asking the question, why I'm not okay? And I've discussed this with you time and time again. You're not okay. Listen to me. It's really very simple. You're not okay because you made yourself not okay. Your natural state is higher than anything you can even imagine. And it doesn't matter what you've ever done, doesn't matter who you hurt, doesn't matter what has ever happened, ever. It has nothing to do with any of it. I want karma out of your mind. I don't want you thinking about it. It doesn't help you one iota. Say, oh my God, I did so bad. I hurt somebody. I'll go to hell forever. No, this doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. It's just another neurotic state. Okay, I've built up such a bad karma. Why should I even bother? Stop it. If it's not okay in there, you did it. Therefore, you can undo it. You did it. How? How did I do it? You did it by blocking events that came into you that were not comfortable to you. You pushed them away. You blocked them. You suppressed them. You repressed them. You resisted them. And I'm doing it very quickly because I've done this before, and the book goes into great detail. Every time you push energy away inside of you, push events from the outside world coming in or thoughts that you have inside, and you push them away because they're not comfortable, you're storing them inside of you. And they're creating blockages to your natural energy flow. You have a beautiful energy flow inside of you that's feeding you all the time. That's what Christ meant by man does not live by bread alone, the outside world, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of God. In other words, by Shakti, by spirit. It flows inside of you and feeds you all the time. Listen to me. All the time. It's not a question of being depressed. It's not a question of being happy. It's a question of being ecstatic. Just you're filled with this flow of energy that's coming up inside of you and pouring out of you. That is your natural state. It's everybody's natural state. Doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter what you've ever done. Doesn't matter anything. It is the natural state of a human being. If you took human birth, that is your natural state. I don't know that monkeys do that, right? I got none of my business. The masters say they don't. The masters say only those who took human birth are capable of realizing themselves, realizing the highest state. So that is inside of you. Well, why don't I feel it? Because you blocked it. Well, why would I block it? That's a really good question. If you find out that there's love pouring inside of you, regardless of what anybody does or says or anything happens, and you decide, I think I'll block it, maybe you better question that. Maybe you better take a little look at that and say, well, why would I do such a thing? It's called ignorance. You weren't paying attention. You didn't know what was going on. And so what did you do? I told you. It's all, and then we're going to go really deep on how to not do it. It's all about something came in, it comes in, the world comes in through your senses, and I couldn't handle it. I don't like what you said to me. I don't like what you did. I don't like my new boss. I don't like what the weather's going to do tomorrow when we're going to have a party outside. And, it's just all kinds of things that come in, and I'm not okay with them, right or wrong. Oh, maybe I got the wrong crowd. Okay? It comes in. I don't care if it's big or small. I don't care. I don't care. Oh, my God, there are cockroaches. Yep, there are. Doesn't mean you have to leave them running around your house. But it does mean you better accept the fact that there are cockroaches in Florida. You better accept the fact that there's such a thing called rain, even if it happens on your birthday or your birthday party or your outside wedding. You better accept reality or you're in trouble. What do you mean you're in trouble? It comes in, what does? You know what comes in? Reality. How do I know it's reality? Because it came in. It happened. If it didn't happen, don't worry about it. Please do me a favor. But if it does come in, you can be sure it happened. Okay, it's what you do with it. It's not what it is. It's what you do with it. I'm going to cry. I care about you so much. You're so beautiful. You can reach such a high state. It is not about what happened. It's about what you did with what happened. So it comes in, and you're in there. How do you know? I think you know you're in there. You do experience things, don't you? Okay, then you're in there. So you're a conscious being inside. And these events are coming into your mind, to your heart. They're coming in through your senses. And what do you do with them? Well, if they're not comfortable, can they be not comfortable? Has anybody ever had anything come inside that's not comfortable when it comes in? I don't need to define what that means, not comfortable, do I? All right? It's just for whatever reason, it's not comfortable. And every one of you are different. So it's just not comfortable. It's a yicky feeling. Somebody wrote me that. I said, I get these yicky feelings. I liked that it got said that way, right? I call it your stuff. It just can get uncomfortable in there, can't it? What do you do when reality comes in, therefore it already happened, comes in, and it doesn't feel comfortable when it comes in? I know what you do. You push it away. It's exactly the same as if something's coming at you. A kid's playing ball. A father's trying to teach a young son how to field a grounder. And every time the ball bounces, kid turns his head away. Now, you can't feel it real good when you're doing that. Somebody moves real quickly, you think they're going to hit you. You protect yourself. Don't you? Don't you? All right? That's what you're doing inside. When this thing comes in and it's not comfortable, you go like this. You push it away. You avoid it. I can't handle this. Has anybody ever used the word, I can't handle this? It happened. And if you can't handle it, you're in trouble. What's the alternative to handling it? Not being able to handle it. What you do if you can't handle it is you push it away. Many people write me and say, I gave a talk once about you have hands inside. Anybody got hands inside that can push things around? Keep emotions away and hold on to thoughts, and you're busy in there? You got some will in there, don't you? What you do is you use those hands to push away the energy that came towards you that was uncomfortable. Do you do that or not? About every moment of your life. You're either pushing it away, or do you do when it's comfortable? I don't like to talk about this because you get weird. Can the comfortable energy come in? Oh. Okay. What do? You cling to it. You use those hands again. I don't want this to go away. I love you. I love you so much. What did you say? I didn't hear you. How do you know you love me so much? My heart just melts when I see you. Oh, keep talking. That's what it's like when it comes in and it's nice. And what do? You do what the Buddhists call cling. You cling to it. You use those hands inside. They push the stuff away to hold on to this stuff so it doesn't go away. One, you don't want it to come in. The other, you don't want it to stop from coming in. But it did stop. He went away. He said really sweet things to you. Then he had to go to work. He or she had to go to work, right? What do? You're in Nana land, baby. You better not go to work because you ain't get nothing done. Right? You sit around and wait for him to come back, wait for her to come back, right? And while you're waiting, you're not waiting. You're thinking. What did he say? Oh, my God, no one's ever told. Oh, my God, could this be the one? In other words, you didn't let it go. It's not even happening anymore. It's not reality anymore. Reality is what's happening in front of you. You better not be driving because you're not looking. Okay, those are the two states. Like I said, I go in very deeply in the new book, Living Untethered. You're either clinging or resisting or just letting it go through. The white lines in a row, make it right through. You don't cling or resist them. Trees go right through everything, unless it's your tree and somebody's sitting on it or touching it, or your car. All cars go through until somebody touches your car, then it doesn't go through. Get your hands off my car. Why did you do that? Because it felt yucky. All right? So there. We have now laid the groundwork for spirituality. And this is the ground for spirituality. Everything else, it's good. Go read this, read that. Do whatever you want. It's wonderful. You should do all these things. Why? They distract you from yourself. It's good, right? This is the work. If you don't do this work, I'm telling you, you're not going anywhere. You may have a good experience once in a while. You'll tell, I had this beautiful experience. Man, I'm not talking about having an experience. I'm talking about changing the state of your being. Spirituality is not about experience. It's about a state of being where you live all the time, permanently. See, I like you. I would like you to have that. All right? This is your work. Why? If reality comes in and you push it away, I'm going to ask you a question. Where does it go? Ask Freud. It stays inside of you. Mommy's still in there. What Daddy did and the time this happened and sister did that, it's still in there, isn't it? Comes back up every time you see your sister, doesn't it? Comes back up every time you try to call your mother, all the junk. People tell me that. I'm fine till I go home. Why? What happens when you go home? I don't know. I feel my old self again. I feel the resistance. I didn't get along with my parents, and I had trouble with my brother. I told you last time, don't do it. I don't do it. Go to a high school reunion. Go to your 20th high school reunion and tell me what happens inside of you as you see each person. The same stuff comes back up that you had with that person 20 years ago. That person is not the same. You are not the same. It doesn't matter. You stored that stuff inside of you, and something is now happening outside reality that is stimulating that stuff you stored, and you can get pretty freaked out, can't you? Seeing somebody, he stole my boyfriend. 20 years ago, he stole your boyfriend. Am I exaggerating? 1 iota? Pay attention. That's spirituality. Consciousness, awareness, mindfulness. So you notice that I stored this stuff inside. So there's 2 things I want you to know about that stuff. 1, it's in there. And it's going to come back up. Why? Because it's in there. It comes back up in your dreams, come back up when you see something, come back when you think something. You just start thinking about something, next thing your mind drifts off, and all of a sudden your heart hurts. Well, I don't understand. You're driving down the road. Why does your heart hurt? Because something, the sign did this, and you thought that, and then you thought of this, and bam. Why? Because it's still in there. It's still in there. Every single thing you ever pushed down there is still in there, including the fact that it rained on your birthday 5 years ago. Now you don't like birthdays as much, and you're very cautious. Hey, let's have a party outside. No, I've been there, done that. It was one incident. The probability of things happening again is ridiculous. But you don't think like that. So basically, you've built this thing inside that is a collection of your mess, and you built an ego around it. That's what your ego is. Your ego is a self-concept that you built in your mind around the stuff that you stored inside. I'm the kind of person that likes this and doesn't like that, and I believe in this, but I don't believe in that, right? I hope this happens, I hope that doesn't happen. Every single one of those thoughts is based on the stuff you stored in there from the past. Period. And guess what? Psychology agrees with me 100%. But yogis knew this about thousands of years ago. They went, sat in a cave and watched. Oh, look at that. It's still in there. All right? And so basically, spirituality, I was going to tell you, there's 2 things that it does. 1, it comes up and it affects how you think. It affects what you want. It affects who you like. It affects every single thing. Every single thing. Tell me, let's just get it right. You went on a date in high school, and the guy was great. Or girl was great. All this was going on, and then something happened. I don't know. I was using the example. You took him to meet your parents and had dinner at your parents' house, and all of a sudden, he slurped his soup. You never had soup with him before, or her before, and that was it, because your parents are very serious about soup slurpers. All right? And all of a sudden you got this whole thing about, oh my God, first thing I want to find out when I check my list online is, does he slurp soup? It's like, you just carried your garbage with you. And you limit all your relationships, and you limit your love, you limit everything you can do by this stuff you built. So ultimately you built an ego. You built a self-concept that says, I am the person that likes this and doesn't like this. Why? Because of past experiences. What else would it be based on? Don't you dare think you're picking what you like and what you don't like, because you're not. Your past experiences are picking what you like and don't like. That stuff that you push down in there, it just determines everything, the way you feel, everything. Okay, that's one thing about the stuff you stored in there. What? It keeps coming back up and keeps affecting you and keeps determining how you think and everything. Well, that's pretty big. That's not the big one. When you're deep, you've gone deep enough inside the meditation, you're going to see that stuff, every one you stored, is blocking your Shakti flow, is blocking the flow of spirit that would naturally flow inside of you if that stuff was not there. Wow, that's a greater price than the fact that it bothers you periodically. It is always keeping you from experiencing the beauty, the absolute beauty that's inside of you. Because why? Because you put it on top of it. You stored this garbage on top of your energy flow. In fact, someday you're going to find, if you go really deep, that the reason it keeps coming back up is because the energy flow is trying to push it up. Christ said, I stand at the door and knock. Whoever will open, I will enter. Well, I wonder if that's what he's talking about. Okay, because I assure you it is. Why? You start living this stuff and you start understanding what's being taught. I told you, I'm a nice Jewish yogi. I read the Bible once in 1971, and all these words keep coming back up. Why? Because they're the truth. So basically, you understand that when you go deep enough inside, you see what was taught. What was taught was yoga. What was taught was spirituality. What was taught was the deep teachings. And so that basically, if you push that stuff down inside of you, it's going to determine your life because it keeps bothering you. You keep running away from it or running toward it. And it's going to block your spiritual energy so that now you have to go out and get what you want and avoid what you don't want because you can't feel energy unless you do. So basically, that is the real price you pay by storing that stuff inside of you, is you block the natural beauty that is the flow of your Shakti, of your spiritual being. So at some point now, you've noticed this, we're growing each step of the way, you sit there and say, I don't want to go running after a panacea that temporarily satisfies my blockages, because it doesn't last. Why? Because I got lots of them. I got a proliferate of those things down there. And just because somebody turns me on for a moment, there'll be something they hit, isn't there? There'll be something they hit that I don't like. There's something they do that I didn't ever think you would ever do that. I can't believe you did that. Goodbye. All right? And that goes for your job. It goes for your finances. It goes for your relationships. It goes for people do it with their kids. Understand, you're not going to make a world that matches your garbage inside. It doesn't exist. No one's strong enough to do it. It's not going to happen. The world is the result of all the forces that made it be that way. If it's raining on your birthday, it's not because it's your birthday. You want to know why it's raining? Go study meteorology. The fact that this person said something when all you did was do something or not do something, the fact that they just blew up and started yelling and screaming and told you all these mean things, you didn't do that. The sum of all their learned experiences did that. Their parents, their this, their genetics. Do you understand that, right? It was a lot of events that came together in that moment, and you just went, boo, and they freaked out. And you took it personal, didn't you? It is not personal. There's nothing that's personal. It's just the sum. Just like Skinner said that man, your psyche, is the sum of your learned experiences. I'm telling you, the moment in front of you is the sum of 13.8 billion experiences that unfolded throughout the universe, bringing that moment together at that moment. It is perfect, not perfect, good or bad or moral. It's just a perfect result of all the forces that made it be that way. How about, can I say that? It is a perfect result of all the forces throughout time and space that came together, coalesced together to create that moment. So it's not that it's good or bad or right or wrong. It just is. And what you made up inside yourself has nothing to do with those forces. You made up the little tiny things that happened to you throughout your life, and now you're bringing your preferences into the reality of the moment. Oh my God, no wonder you feel anxious. You should. It's not going to be the way you want. Oh, my did you say that? Because it's not. It has nothing to do with you. It is the result of all the forces in creation that came together in this moment, and you just happen to be standing there. All right, so now you come into the moment, and you're expecting it to be the way you want. Well, it's not going to be the way you want. So again, spirituality is you understand the entire process of how you got this way, and how it got the way it is. It's the result of all the forces that are creating it to be that way. But your stuff is what you can deal with. And you eventually wake up, and now you're ready for real spirituality to sit there and say, well, why am I such a mess? You're such a mess because you store all this stuff inside. And so you just come down and realize that if the problem is I stored these things, the solution is to not store them and get rid of them. And that is spirituality. It's called purification. Purification doesn't mean I don't swear. All right? Purification has nothing to do with what I wear or what I eat, whether I'm a vegetarian or a vegan, or whether it's this or that, whether I live alone or I got 15 people in my family. And it's nothing to do with any of that. Purification has to do with the willingness to purify this garbage that you're storing inside yourself. And then the way you live, whatever. They all were different. All the masters lived completely different. All right? They're not the same at all. Don't do that. Don't think you made up what it looks like to be spiritual. That alone is not spiritual, to have a concept of what you think is spiritual. Spiritual means every moment of every day of my life, I am doing my best to not take on more stuff and to let go of the stuff that comes up. That's it. I've taught you everything I've learned, 50 years. If I take on more, then there's going to be more. If I don't let go of what comes up, it's going to stay in there. It's so logical, it's crazy. It's not about mystical things. It's not about esoteric things. It's not about belief. What part have I said so far today has to do with belief? Do you believe what I said, or do you know what I said? You live in there. You see what's going on. You see that everything if somebody says something you don't like yesterday and they walk by, wait till you see them today. You will not feel the same inside that you did before they said that. Well, you stored it, didn't you? You're really doing this. And everything you store in there is setting a trigger for you to be disturbed by it again later, even though it's over. Why do I know what they said? Maybe they didn't say it. My favorite is, I'm not sure what he meant by that. Well, and then I guarantee you, if you say, I'm not sure what he meant by that, you're going to pick something negative. Otherwise, you wouldn't have bothered saying that. Okay? So it's like, wake up. You're doing this to yourself. You're doing it to yourself. And so you wake up and you sit there and say, okay, it's a mess. Yes, I do that. But I need to start making a change inside. I'm willing to make a change. Remember I told you, Rumi had a beautiful saying. He said, yesterday I was clever, so I was trying to change the world. Today I'm wise, so I'm changing myself. That's spirituality. All right? Now the question becomes, fine, I understand. I do see I'm doing this. How do I do that? How do I do that? Do I have to go off and live in a cave somewhere, renounce everything, get divorced, and throw my family away? No, absolutely not. Has nothing to do with that. What does it have to do with? It has to do with the willingness to say, the meaning of my life is not taking on any more and letting go of what comes up. That's the meaning of my life. Well, what about marriage? It has nothing to do with anything. You get married, you don't get married. What about divorce? It has nothing to do with anything. You get divorced, you don't get divorced. What about all these things? The question is not whether you get divorced. The question is how you're doing inside when you get divorced. Not the question whether you get married. The question is, why did you get married? Did you honestly believe, but marriage is an exception? Come on, man. They all say so is the most important. Come on, give me a break. Surely marriage is an exception. To what? To the fact that you store stuff inside yourself and next thing you know, you're a marriage counselor? It's not an exception in any way, shape, or form. It's a wonderful situation to let go of yourself. Wonderful. You love somebody, you commit yourself to somebody. Did you really commit yourself to them? Or did you commit yourself to them being the way you need them to be so that you're okay? Was that too fast, or did I do it right? Which did you commit yourself to? Because I guarantee you it's the second. The moment you are not fulfilling the needs that I have, why am I bothering? Maybe because you need to grow, and the relationship is a wonderful place to do that. That's like quote a paradigm shift. It's an entirely different paradigm shift. I'm not in this for me. I'm in this to get rid of me. Again, who said that? You have to die to be reborn. Somebody said that, didn't they? I think I've heard that before. That's what it's talking about. You have to be willing to look at that part of your being that is made up of this sum of your past experiences, the ones you couldn't handle, and you have to sit there and say, the purpose of my life is I'm going to learn to not take on more. I'm going to go through a day without taking on scars, without taking on problems, without taking on we call them some scars in yoga, without taking on patterns that didn't make it through me. Why? Because I resisted them. I'm not going to do that anymore. Take it on. It's like, you like video games? There's a video game for you. There's a video game going on inside of you that's so much more exciting than any video game they ever made. It's like, wow, good luck. Take it on. Take it on. It's fun. All right? So that basically you're saying, I'm going to make it through the day without storing stuff inside of me. Period. Well, how do I do that? Now you start to see the spiritual practice, the real spiritual practices. Well, maybe I need to catch on that I'm not very good at it. That I say that, and then bam, the minute I'm in the cauldron of the world, I don't even think about it. I just fight and struggle and push things away and grab things and yell and scream and carry on. So how do I get around that? Well, some people suggest that you take at least, but 15's fine. I used to meditate a whole lot. I don't do that anymore, all right? Just take 15 minutes in the morning when you wake up, or sometime early in the morning when you have a little, 15 minutes, not too much. And what do I do with that? Whatever you want, but let it be a time where you remind yourself the meaning of your life. The purpose of this day is to let go of the events that take place so I don't store more garbage inside of me. That's the purpose of this day. And then at night, put another 15 minutes aside, do your techniques, do whatever you want. People teach, I don't teach techniques. Where they teach, you're fine. But always remember, take a look. Did I store anything? Did I resist anything that happened today that's going to end up inside of me tomorrow and the day after? Have you noticed that something can take 1 minute and stay in there for years? Have you noticed? It can stay there for years. Somebody said one stupid thing. Oh my God, it's not worth it. Because I told you, not only does it disturb you for years, but you've blocked your spiritual energy. That thing you stored, I'm telling you, it's a thing. You stored it. It blocks the flow of your energy. And so at night you stop, you say, did I not let anything go? Did I store things? Did I resist? And if you see something, you have to go call the person up or unwind. You have to inside say, I don't want this inside of me. But it hurt. I don't care. One of the masters once said to somebody, it's the pain that ends all pain. You willing to go through the pain that ends all pain? And you sit there and look at it. I don't want to carry this in here for years. I don't care what they did. I don't care. They did something, so what? They didn't do something, so what? I'm got to live in here, right? They're gone and went. I do not want this in here, bothering me for the rest of my life. So what do? You do this thing that I call let go. What does it mean? It's obvious what it means. You didn't let go when you pushed it away. Now that it's not right in front of you, not on the battlefield anymore, you can do this. It's a little quiet in your own home. You're safe. Let go. I don't know what that means. You do so. You do so know what it means. You just don't want to do it. Those hands in there push this thing away. But you don't understand what he did. I don't care what he did. I don't care what he did. But it was terrible. I don't care. We'll deal with that later. First, let go. It's bad enough that the negative event happened outside. But it's not happening anymore. It's not in front of you anymore. All right? I don't want it also to be happening inside for years after it's over. I don't know about you. Okay? It doesn't make any sense. I want to be able to say I can handle the events of the day. How about you? What if they're bad? It has nothing to do with whether they're bad. It has to do with whether you want to let them go or carry them with you for the rest of your life. And have resentments and angers and guilts and fears and all that. All right? What do you want? What do you want? That's your spiritual state. Doesn't mean it's easy, but you do your best. And just because I did want to talk about it, at least we're touching it here, what does it mean to let go? People write me. I want to make sure I'm letting go right. Do you notice that it's still inside of you? Yes, of course I do. It's bothering me. It keeps talking about it. I keep having weird feelings. Okay? So I know it's still inside of me. Oh, by the way, is it happening outside anymore? No. It's happening inside. So that basically you get to the point where you decide, I'm holding it in here. Don't try to stop your mind. Don't try to stop your emotions. It's basically going to come in and you're disturbed by it. Can you just sit there and say, I don't want this in here. I don't care what it costs. And take your hands back. You'll see you're pushing against it. Pull your hands back. Sit on your hands. Relax. Release. Those are the words I use. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. You would not have stored it in there if it did not disturb you. So you've stored disturbed energy, and now if you start to let it go, it's going to come closer to you. It's going to finish its journey through you. Things have to make it through you, otherwise they stay inside of you. So now you let it go. And eventually you'll get to the point you realize no pain, no gain. You do that when you work out. Olympics people, 4 years of their life, they kill themselves. No pain, no gain. For what? A gold medal? Right? I'd rather have the experience of joy and love my entire life than a gold medal hanging on the wall. Right? And you ain't never going to go through what they go through. So you say it's worth it. Now, we worked our way up these layers of spirituality. Now we're talking really spiritual being. You are committed to letting this stuff go. And I'm going to do my best. Am I perfect at it? No, of course not. Nobody's perfect at it. Nobody ever will. So don't you dare feel bad about it. Don't build a spiritual self-concept. I can handle anything. Just work here and now with what's going on inside of you and do your best to let go. How will I know if I let it go? You'll see tomorrow. You'll find out tomorrow how much of you let go. Well, what if it comes back up? Then let go of that. Well, it comes back up, then let go of that. Anything is better than keeping it inside. Every time you let go a little bit, two things happen. It goes a little bit because you handled it. And second, you learn how to let go. Okay? If you learn to play your scales on the piano, that's not what you're going to do, play the scales. Now you can play a piano piece. You're practiced. You're practicing letting go. That is the meaning of your life. And it's fun. It's fun to say, can I make it through the day without storing stuff? Can I little handle what people say, and et cetera, et cetera. And you just, eventually, you become conscious enough to where that 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, you find, oh, this is good, it worked. It stays, that the whole idea of letting go stays for another 20 minutes or an hour. And eventually, you listen to me, eventually you become what's called established in the seat of self. Constantly conscious. That state of awareness that I'm letting go is always there. Period. And every one of you are capable of that. It's not going to happen right away. I don't care how long it takes. But you will find that all day you are letting go. All day. In the middle, boss calls you in, you feel anxiety, let it go. Starts yelling at you, you screwed this up, you know you didn't do it, the other person did it. But you're in there, you let go first, let go, decide what to do about it, right? And you're just in there using every single situation to let go, all right? Then what happens? Eventually you get to the point where you can handle it every day. You can handle the daily experience, most of them, vast majority of them, all right? And that's wonderful. Then what happens? Now we need the skull and crossbones. This is a warning. It's a warning, I guarantee you what's going to happen. The old stuff is going to start coming back up, all by itself. Don't have to go fishing for it? No. Don't need a therapist to go find it? No. It will come up by itself. Why? You didn't push new stuff on top of it. Therefore, there's a clearer channel for the Shakti to push this stuff up. You'll be driving the car, minding your own business, and all of a sudden you're crying. And you feel sad. You feel lost. And you feel, oh, this is not working. Yes, it is. That's where they go wrong. Now you get into deep spirituality. It is working. That is what working means. Not I'm high all the time and I'm fine and I love everybody. No, you're not there yet. Don't do that. You got stuff that needs to be let go of so that the Shakti can come and be free to flow. And she's going to push it up. I tell you that right now. She's pushing it up. So basically the stuff will start coming up. Now we're ready. Now we're ready to do some serious growth. Are you willing to let it come up? No. Are you willing to let it come up? No. Are you willing to let it come up? No, you don't understand what she did. When did she do it? 20 years ago. Well, if she did 20 years ago, it shouldn't be in there. Something that happened 20 years ago should not be bothering you anymore. I don't know if Freud agrees, but the net result is there is no super glue in there. There is nothing holding that stuff inside of you except you. You resisted it back then, and you're resisting it right now. How much energy do you think you're wasting? Because you are. It's physics. Whatever force this thing came up you couldn't handle, you are applying that amount of force to keep it down for all those things, for all those years. Woo-hoo-hoo. What a waste of energy. And so you just sit there and say, no, I don't care what it was. I don't care what happened. I don't want it inside of me. Period. I want to feel the Shakti. I want to feel high. I want to feel love. I don't care. Right? Yes, you had a terrible relationship. Now you're in a different relationship. I do not want my old relationship being brought into my new relationship. I don't want to sit there and say to somebody, that's what George used to do. I didn't think you'd be like that. Nope. Nope, I do not. I want to clean. I want to have a new relationship. I don't want that old shadow coming back and haunting me. I'm letting this go. And what do? You do your best every moment that when it comes up, you remember what it's about. It's about letting that go. It's about it coming up. That's what's supposed to happen. That's what you want to happen. That's what you're willing to let happen to the best of your ability. Doesn't mean you'll succeed every time, because you won't. So what? You don't win every video game. You don't win every golf tournament. You don't win everything, all right? You just be willing to do this work inside yourself. And at some point, you will let go of enough to where you start to feel, for no reason, high. Why? No reason. You're high. You're high because you cleaned out your channel and the energy can flow. And you get to a point where you've experienced enough of that. I want to see you when you reach that state, that you know to the bottom of your being, you're never, ever going to stop doing this. This is the meaning of your life. Period. Yes, you can do it while you're married. Yes, you can do it if you're not. Yes, you can do it when you have children. Yes, you can do it if you don't. Doesn't make any difference. The question is, are you doing it? Are you willing to let it come up? And you start just during the day all the time. You just keep letting go. And then if it really hurts, you respect that. That what hurts you the most from the past is the most important thing to let it go. Don't ever sit there and say, oh, I'm done with that. And what you really mean is, I suppressed it. I pushed it away. Because then it's blocking your energy flow. So you just sit there and say, I don't care. I don't care. No pain, no gain. I'm perfectly willing to go through it. All right. So then what? I said, you get high. You get high. Every one of you. Just there's this natural flow of energy that will start flowing through your system. And it goes up, not down. Right now you all go down because you're grabbing for things. This changes direction. It goes up. And I told you the other day, I always end my talks this way because I want you to hear it, to know it, that you're capable of. Eventually it comes up enough. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It takes years. I don't care. It comes up enough to where you realize this is really beautiful. Now it's easy. You don't renounce. Nothing can touch it. Ram Dass once said, nothing can come in through your senses that's higher than what's already going on inside. That's a very nice state to be. Now there's no fears, no desires, no anything. It's like, okay, you're fine. There's going on inside. And you just keep letting go, and it gets higher and higher. And eventually what happens is you get so used to and involved in the flow of the energy, the flow of the beauty, that you forget all this stuff that used to hold you down. And you're a much nicer person because you don't need anything from anybody. Doesn't mean you're a hermit. Just because you don't need things from people doesn't mean you don't give to them. Love loves to express. So now you're a giving person. You're a whole person. You're not a taker. If you have needs, you're taking. And so basically you become this beautiful, and I'll go so quickly, eventually you reach the point where it flows up enough to where something inside of you, just the next stage of your awareness, it dawns on you, where's this coming from? I mean, I used to say love came from that person and passion came from this job. Those are outside things. Now there's all this flow, this constant flow going on inside. Where's it coming from? And you start to explore what's called exploring the source of consciousness, the source of the flow of Shakti. And that will bring you in further deep inside. And now the rest happens by itself. Now you let go. Now you die to be reborn. You're literally letting go of your individuality. You're letting go of that which thinks I'm a separate person looking down at this mind and this body, because you're being pulled up into this Shakti flow, into this flow of spirit. And eventually you get pulled in so deeply that you let go of yourself. And that's called merger. That's the oneness. But I don't want to talk about that. What I wanted to talk about, I touched. How to let go. How to literally make the commitment that that's the meaning of my life. Not to temporarily feel better once in a while, like doing a drug because you're sick. Fine, you take a drug, you feel better. That's nothing. You're still sick. So there is a natural state inside of you in which you are okay. And I just told you how to get there. But that's a serious, serious work to let go of yourself, to be willing to go through that. All right? So we talked about stages of spirituality. We talked about true spirituality. All right? And you can work at whatever level you're working at. But I beg you, understand, if there's a problem inside of you, it's because you held it in there. You're a beautiful, beautiful being. Very, very high, very beautiful. You have a lot to give. Okay? But how can you when you're all caught up in yourself? Jagged.